Xbox reveals its darkest secret. Xbox is missing this important piece of hardware. There's a new expansion for fans to look forward to, and a new controller just leaked. Is it the one we're waiting for? Welcome back to another weekend edition of Xbox Ready, where I sit here with Jim and like gentlemen, we discuss the hot topics going on in the Xbox community right now. Jim, hold on.
I'm watching the Forza trailer.
Okay.
They just released the trailer on the day of the new State of Play, no less. Dude, this expansion looks pretty cool.
Yeah, the Rally expansion.
Ultimate Rally expansion. I've seen some comments from people saying that this is what Horizon Wild should have been in the game. I kind of agree, but better late than never. We're getting a whole expansion where you can build up a rally car. I'm excited. That's kind of what I was missing.
That's cool, man. I like the rally stuff, and I like the off-roading maps in Forza a lot. Like, I like the dune maps especially.
Yeah.
Like, freaking just like driving and sailing over the dunes, and it looks really good on the Series X. They did a great job with, like, you know, the tracks that you leave.
Your first review copy was
my
Forza,
first
right?
review copy. Back when I had 14,000 subscribers, and I came on, and someone said, "There's no way that just 14,000 subscribers that you would get a review copy." Luckily, well, now I'm at 120,000. So what up now? But yeah, Forza 5 already like a 9 out of 10, sometimes 10 out of 10 game in my opinion. I mean, arguably the best thing that Xbox has launched in the past couple of years. The last expansion was great. The Hot Wheels freaking expansion, that was really fun, and I'm really looking forward to this one. So yeah, it's coming out March 29th. Obviously, again, like Jimmy said, not the best timing to have an announcement like that with State of Play on the same day, and I'm sure it'll be free with Game Pass.
I'll play it after Resident Evil 4.
Nice. But yeah, I'm glad that you're on the show once again. It always seems like when I have you on, there's something that like I really want like your input on. But obviously this week over on PlayStation, the big news is that PSVR 2 is finally coming out. It's in a box somewhere in this studio.
Brought
we
my
have
PS5
it right here. Yeah, with the black fins. You might not have noticed it next to this giant freaking Xbox fridge. People love to complain about this thing, man. They're like, why is that Series X like massive? Because it's a fridge. It's not really a console. Well, a lot of the things that sometimes these companies do, Xbox, PlayStation, inevitably they look to the other person and they're like, okay, are they going to do that? Like, okay, is PlayStation going to have their version of Game Pass? And eventually they sort of did. And so now like PSVR 2 is out, and there's some people looking at Xbox like, oh, you need a VR headset. And I want to get your thoughts before I share mine.
I doubt it, because they had HoloLens for the longest time and it never really came out. Like, getting VR off the ground, like we've seen this with PlayStation, is extremely expensive. I don't think Microsoft really has much of a reason to focus on that.
I totally agree, and I think one of the major reasons we got to travel back in time for a sec has to do with the Kinect. Like, they invested a lot of money and time and game development into the Kinect, and it was fun for like a hot sec, and then all of a sudden it was like they got massively burned on it, and we're probably like, damn.
The Kinect ever?
Dude, I loved the Kinect.
You had one?
Yes, I had both iterations, the like 361 and then the one that came with the Xbox One. That's like, I got it because I was like, ooh, I can use this to stream and stuff, but it was like terrible quality. But still, it was like, you could do some cool stuff with it, especially at the beginning of the Xbox One generation. You could tell it to like, hey, Xbox, snap Twitch while you were playing a game, and it would bring up Twitch, and you could like literally multitask and stuff and tell it, hey, Xbox turn on, Xbox turn off. You could do stuff with Skyrim when you were playing it, like you could shout into the Kinect and it would shout in the game.
Oh yeah, you
like
could do
all that stuff. Yeah, it was awesome. But I think Microsoft is trying to do less hardware now, it seems. I keep maintaining that they want to get away even from console making. Maybe they won't phase it out entirely, but like these moves that they've been doing, I'm like, I wonder if they'll like try to make a push in being more of like a publisher, because we've seen that they're in kind of a hole with their hardware. I mean, they're down in sales compared to the PlayStation 5, not only last generation but also this generation.
They're doing better now,
though, right? A little bit better.
30% versus 50 that's like a good 20% jump.
Yeah, it's a pretty good thing, but we also know that they lose money on every Xbox sold, so it's like they're losing money on hardware. So I feel like investing in a VR headset is just like, I would much rather have a handheld before they do PSVR.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, yeah, I would.
Or just like native Game Pass support on the Steam Deck would be awesome. I would love that. I understand that the barrier there is Microsoft makes Xbox and Windows, so they probably don't want that Game Pass app running on Linux, because that's technically a competing operating operating system. But
and to your point again, it takes a lot of resources, and not only in the hardware, but in the gaming side as well. If you want to check out his thoughts on PSVR 2, anyone who's watching, go ahead and check out PlayStation Ready. He's going to be putting up a video on that. Considering how long it would take to make these VR games and like the headset and stuff, when it's like we haven't even really seen first-party output from the big players like Bethesda, these other studios that they've acquired, Obsidian, all those guys, I think I'd rather just have them focus on that versus like, oh, we got to like scramble to make a VR answer since Sony has one on the market right now. So speaking of Activision Blizzard, King Games, yada, 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 Brad Smith, the president of Xbox, recently took to Twitter and revealed the truth about the global market share of PlayStation compared to Xbox in the console industry. And you know, it's pretty shocking. We know that both of these companies are kind of in this mode where they're like, oh, we're not as big as like maybe we've previously made ourselves out to be in order to make themselves look better to these regulators. But globally, the market share split is sitting at 70% PlayStation to 30% Xbox. And then he gets into a little bit more specifics. In Europe, it's 80% PlayStation, 20% Xbox. Japan, 96% PlayStation, 4% Xbox.
That's like cumulative though, right? Like over time, like it's not just the Series X and S and PS5, right?
Yeah, he goes on to say these numbers have been remarkably steady for 2 decades. Even last year when there were issues with Sony's supply chain, they came back strong. By our calculation on a global basis, Sony outsold Microsoft in the fourth quarter by a margin of 69 to 31, which is pretty consistent with the global market shares we've seen for 20 years. Notably absent is obviously the US. So if I were to take a guess, I would say either 60-40.
60-40 seems like a good number to me.
Yeah, I would say it's 60-40, but then again, globally, we know that.
That Series S though, like, you know, like you gotta think about that. The Series S sells a lot of consoles. So yeah,
the Series S is carrying, man. Like the Series S is carrying, and my freaking wife is loving that thing. Like she's like mind blown.
So is my fiance.
Like literally mind blown. She was playing Disney Dreamlight Valley on her Switch, and it was running like crap. We got the Series S, and I downloaded Dreamlight Valley. I was like, listen, you can transfer your data over to this, and she was like, oh my god, it runs so much better. Like there's no like pop in, and like I can navigate my menu without it crashing every 2 seconds. I was like, yes. So the Series S is a good little machine, and whoever thought it up, like, damn, good on them for having like a budget option next gen console. I know it gets a lot of hate, but it's doing like pretty well in terms of sales this generation.
And Hogwarts runs pretty well on it. I was watching Kelsey play it. She was fighting spiders, and it looked like it was running fine. So,
yeah,
I don't know. Like, and I feel like once Xbox starts releasing a lot of these games they got cooking up, that's when you'll start seeing more console sales, right? Like what's driving Sony's console sales? God of War Ragnarok. The game sold 11 million copies in its first like month or two on the market. People bought PS5s to play God of War Ragnarok. There were bundles for that game. So when you have a big game tied to the console that people really actively want to play, people will show up and buy your console. But when you're just asking them to buy hardware with the promise of games that don't have release dates in this year, like that's when you start running into issues with people not buying your stuff. And they were off to a great start when people had Halo Infinite with a release date to look forward to, or Forza Horizon 5 with a release date to look forward to, but they don't have that right now. Like as much as I think Redfall is going to be cool and I'm excited for it, Redfall is not like a Halo or God of War level system seller because it's a new IP.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's like the biggest downside of Sony buying Bungie. Destiny ran way better on the Xbox than it does on my PS5. I like consistently see frame drops on the PS5, and I never saw that on my Xbox.
Do you think the regulators are going to care about this disparity in the market share?
Talking about this on PS Ready yesterday, I was like, every day I feel like a different analyst comes out and says, like, oh, it's totally going to go through, or oh, it's looking rough for Microsoft. Frick, man, just let it go, because like let it finish or not, because I feel bad for all these developers who are releasing games that aren't getting press at all, because the biggest news story around Xbox is like, is Xbox going to buy Call of Duty? Let's talk about this for the 9th month in a row.
Yeah, I mean, it's been over a year. They made the announcement last January, and I remember
sure they don't
literally
want it
being
to
like, oh shoot,
be like this either. I'm sure they thought it would be wrapped up by now.
The original prediction was that it was going to be wrapped up by this summer 2023. Probably going to go a little bit longer than that. With that, a little tight there. I don't know about that, but these contracts that they have signed, Microsoft and Xbox have with Nintendo and Nvidia now. 10 years to bring Xbox and Call of Duty onto Nintendo consoles and to bring it to Nvidia GeForce Now.
I couldn't care less about GeForce Now. I know like people like it, students like it, right? Because every kid gets a Chromebook now with school. A lot of kids have cheap laptops. A lot of people like GeForce Now because it gives you access, if you pay for it, to a 40 series card, and it has good streaming. When I worked
4080 on the Ultimate. Yeah, it's like damn.
I remember when I worked at Austin Evans' place when I was editing his videos. We were at CES and they had just announced like the widespread rollout of GeForce Now, and we did like an emergency video on it, and that's one of like the biggest videos on his channel. I think it was really cool back then. It was before Xbox was really even focusing hard on the streaming, and it worked pretty well. I've just always been fortunate enough since this was announced to have a PC that can run these games, so it's like not a big deal to me. The Nintendo thing is interesting. I have a Steam Deck. I'm kind of over the Switch, you know, like that's smart though, because Activision has a lot of games. Those were already coming to the Switch, so is it really that big of an announcement? Like Diablo 3's best version is on the Switch. The Switch version's the best because you can play seasonal gameplay offline.
Yeah, I'm interested to see because they didn't say Switch, not Call of Duty, Xbox games coming to Switch. Right. They said Nintendo consoles, from what I believe. So is that implying maybe like they are privy to something that the general public does not know about? Maybe a more powerful Nintendo console, like Switch 2? Like I see that trending all the time on Twitter because like I just cannot imagine like Warzone 2 running on a freaking Nintendo Switch.
No chance.
When I was just talking about how it could barely run a rinky-dink game like Disney Dreamlight Valley.
When I went to film the Xbox documentary for Austin in Seattle, when we were walking into a room to interview Aaron Greenberg, a bunch of Japanese people with like lawyers came out. Then our friend Jeff, friend of the channel, he was like, "That's Nintendo." I was like, "That's Nintendo? Like that's crazy." So Xbox and Nintendo have been talking for a while. Yeah, I think now would probably be a good time for one of us to start up Nintendo Ready, right?
Nintendo Ready?
You can get Haley on there.
The Ready boys go to Nintendo? Sheesh, man. That, I mean, I don't know. That I think that would be cool. I have thousands of hours logged into Fire Emblem, Three Houses, and right now I'm playing Engage. I'm a fan of a lot of these the Switch and these products that they put out as well. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you would want me and Jimmy to maybe take a swing at having a Nintendo version of these channels.
Whoa. Cool.
You know, they're bringing Xbox games to Nvidia's platform and Nintendo's platform. Hopefully we get some stuff in return, you know, on the Xbox side. You know, having friends in high places, it's always nice.
Yeah, I want more shooters from Bethesda.
More shooters?
Please. And Evil Within 3. They teased it in Hi-Fi Rush. The Evil Within 3. Yeah, and one of the news tickers on like a computer in a cutscene, it's like the third entry in a popular horror franchise. And then the robots that show up right after are Seb and Kidman from Evil Within.
With the detectives?
Yeah, that's the main character, Evil Within.
Oh, I didn't even put that together, dude. I was just like, wow, like crap.
Everyone play the Evil Within 2. It got an extra patch on the Series X that makes it the best version.
So Jimmy, last week or maybe a week or two ago, I cannot remember, I blew your mind by revealing that Xbox was launching the Stellar Shift controller, and you were super confused. You were like, what the hell? They already released this. And I was like, no.
That controller is so similar to the Aqua Shift. It's not even funny. It's just more purple, bro. They just took the gradient slider and then dragged it more towards the purple.
Dude, it's purple. It's 90s Pop-Tart purple. The purple with the freaking blue swish. And now, apparently, the same guy who leaked the Stellar Shift controller has leaked a new controller that is Velocity Green, is what it's called. Velocity Green.
Right. What is
but it's like kind of blurred. Well, can you take a guess? It's
I'm
like
guessing green.
It's like a lime green, but the weird thing about this, and makes it kind of questionable, is that Velocity Green is a color that you can have on the design lab. Like you can pick it out. You can easily design the blurred out controller that you see on the design lab.
So it must be just like a really popular color on the design lab or something. And they're like, screw it, let's just make it a widespread color.
Make it a widespread color. Let's give people hope. Like, oh, Elite Series 3? Oh, no, it's just a different color. I always say, I'm like, man, I don't need another color controller. And then I see it, I'm like, maybe I do.
I'm pretty content with the DualSense Edge. I love this thing.
I've been rocking with my Elite Series 2 for a while. It serves me very, very well. Sometimes it's overkill, honestly. Like when I'm playing like Age of Empires, or I was playing Mountain Blade, I was like, I don't need a freaking Pro controller for this. But like, why not? And then
I've been using it in Gran Turismo. Been using it in Need for Speed, Forza Horizon. It works great. Steam's got Steam input. It just tricks the game into into thinking it's an Xbox controller. Which Atomic Heart has a cool feature where if you use that to trick Atomic Heart into thinking it's an Xbox controller, there's an option under controls that lets you toggle on PlayStation button prompts, which I don't know why anyone would use that in any other scenario other than using a DualSense for that game, but it was nice to see it there. I was like, cool, because I was using my DualSense to play that game.
But yeah, so keep your eye out for possibly a new controller coming out from Xbox, Velocity Green. I imagine it'll be priced the same as like these other special edition, like 60 maybe range, but yeah, keep your eye out.
My favorite is the Forza Horizon 5 one.
Yeah, the one with the grips and then the yellow and then like the splash of like pink and blue, like the festival in the game. Yeah, that's sick, dude.
Make Forza Horizon soundtracks great again.